Hey everybody, it's Lindsay Baker with the Action Hour, and I'm here with Dani Rukin, the Daring Vegan. And we are here today to talk to you about social media and how you can kill it on social media. Right, Dani?
Kill it to save the animals. Yes.
That's right. Right. And so, unfortunately, Kenziah cannot be here with us tonight, but he gave us a bunch of his tips as well. So what we're trying to do tonight, and we're hoping that people will join in and talk to us about their actual way of doing activism, particularly now during the COVID time. And I know you wanted to address that. Do you want to kind of go back a few months and talk about how you got to where you are now?
Sure, Lindsay. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on, because I think every day is a new day with the lockdown. When it first happened, some of us responded some way, and then the second month was different. And the third, some people who were doing X, Y, and Z in the first 3 months then got burnt out, and then the next rotate in. Like, there's so many ways to do this. And I think it really comes down to attitude and grit and community. And don't get down on yourself. But when COVID first hit in terms of the pandemic and we were all quarantining, we just adjusted, and I was super active. But then I got busier with my work life, because that happens for a lot of us. Other things pulling on us, elderly parents that are, all different things. Kids, people who have kids at home, who are, having to do school at home. There's so many different, factors going on. So you just do what you can with what you have, and it's okay if it changes. But at first I was doing a lot of activism from home, like with Save and Getting in the Cage and this and that. And we did a vegan poetry jam for COVID, which we could talk more about later.
Yes, you must do the poem.
Can't wait. But at the end of the day, and also here's one way we can wear our masks.
Meat markets are breeding grounds for disease.
Yes. And then if that one doesn't do it for you, you can do this one. Hold on.
Factory farms breed viruses.
Yeah. There we go. There.
Factory farms breed viruses.
And that's animal justice. So there's lots of ways to carry the message.
That's right. I wear my mask. I have the PETA mask, and I wear that a lot of times, and I see people looking at it. I have a really interesting story. You can always be doing activism. I was on the phone today talking to, what's it called? 1-800-PET-MEDS. Yes. And I was ordering for my little doggy. Do you know, this lady told me I'm just going vegan now. My child, of course, of the Z generation, of course. Talked to her, explained to her, and she said, my husband's had diabetes and his insulin went down. Everything went back into balance, and it was so inspiring and encouraging is really the word, encouraging to me, to pick up the phone for a random phone call and have someone tell me yes, I realize vegan diet is best. And that was
and I love that story, Lindsay. And that's why it's a mindset about being open to what conversations can be had or what opportunities there are without, we don't have to be in your face. I'm all about direct action. But I mean, we don't have to convert somebody. My saying is connect, not convert, because when you lead by example, and like that simple phone call, by the way, I love Generation Zs. I love them. When we would do activism, like in the malls on Saturday nights, and we were doing, cubes of truth type of things, and then handing out literature, I talked to these teens and tweens in the malls, and I'd say, look, your parents are my age, and they won't even listen to information, but you guys will. And right away they perk up, yeah, I'm not like my parents. But I love that, using every little opportunity to be their voice, because without us, the animals have no one. They have a voice, but people don't usually listen to them.
That's right. And I think these young people, not only do they listen, but they talk to their parents and they affect them. And if they're having a meal and their parents are eating meat and they know that it's not good for the environment, and that is their key. I mean, I'm sure they love animals as well.
Sure.
But they're very concerned about the environment, and they're going to let them have it. And that is going to help affect change. I just think
they are
skyrocketing. Don't you?
Veganism. Yes. And, it's funny because COVID is such a horrible thing. And as we know, it came from, these kinds of zoonotic diseases come from us exploiting and encroaching on the animals. And this came from a live wet market, meaning where they kill animals right there. And nobody really talks about that in the news. It's mentioned briefly in passing, but as a result of this horrific occurrence, and there have been many before, as we know, swine fever and various, which we'll talk about, but there are more to come. And like I just read somewhere, no zoonotic diseases have ever been spread from being plant-based, from growing vegetables.
That's right.
And what you say about that veganism is exploding, who knew that would be the biggest help for our animal rights vegan movement, is for COVID to come, and then all these plant-based alternatives are exploding.
Exploding. And we have these opportunities while we're in our homes. We might have a little more time to go on social media. So unfortunately, Kenziah couldn't be here, but I thought since we did promise some social media tips, why don't we just start with that? And then we're going to get into your poem, which is it's the exact same thing. Putting that on Instagram, having that become viral as it did among all our community. It was a beautiful poem. And that's, you don't I know, Dani, I'm just going to out you a little bit here. You're saying, oh my gosh, where's Kenziah? We need somebody like in that generation because we're older folks and we don't. And I'm like, no, Dani, you're amazing. You get umpteen million views when you put up a post on JNN Unchained and you do this poem and you get it to circulate. So you know what to do. It's just, and I learned that it's just being social. It's just being you online. And you'd be surprised how many people like you. I'm like, oh my gosh, all these people like me. They really like me. I know it's funny, but it's true.
Right. It's just being ourselves, because when we speak from the heart, because I'm not doing anything fancy. I love this, Lindsay. This is so good, right? Because I'm no social media whiz. So let's hear Kenziah's tips. I need some tips.
So I have to read them. I'm not familiar with them, but okay. Some tips on how to advocate for animals through digital media. Study what has been successful. Promote work on social media that has been great for outreach, like documentaries, like Earthlings, Forks Over Knives. Create some funny yet tasteful memes.
Can we just pause there and share about what we've done with those? Or I would also add, as long as Kenziah is talking about documentaries, Countdown to Year Zero, which is Jane Velez Mitchell wrote this documentary, produced this documentary, I should say, and it is on Amazon Prime. You can also go into some of the other stuff, but this Countdown to Year Zero, I think she did over a year ago, and it is so prescient because it's all about the environment and what's happening with animal agriculture. It's not just small little wet markets that are also, they're not just in China and here and there and in rural villages. These wet markets are in New York City. New York has 80 live wet markets. I was just there in February, right before the lockdown, at a live market in Manhattan, not on Park Avenue, as they like to say. That's not where you'll find them. It's more in the disadvantaged neighborhoods, and the suffering and the diseases. And Kapuros just happened in Brooklyn with all the horrific diseases that are going on. And the city still allowed for using chickens and slaughtering them right on public property. And Donnie Moss of Their Turn has done a lot of work on that. And so also the Alliance for Kapuros, Jill Carnegie, and many others. But I also want to say one more time that factory farms are breeding grounds for viruses. And yes, so what Kenziah said, Countdown to Year Zero is a documentary. It's free if you have Amazon Prime, 99 cents, I think, if you don't. And it's unbelievably educational, very short, maybe an hour or so.
Right.
Funny memes. Do you ever do funny memes? Because I do too.
I don't do so many funny memes. You take that one.
All right. So here's one thing I do. So I really am not good at social media. I just do me, be me, and whatever happens, happens. I'm just trying to express myself, and I'm trying to invite people into the conversation. Often, like on Facebook, I'll just post. I know that there are non-vegans looking at my Facebook, so I'll post delicious looking food, because one of the ways I like to decompress from all this horror and horrific abuse that we do to the most vulnerable among us is to cook, and to cook vegan. It has opened up a whole new world for me. And also, we want to hear, as Lindsay said, we want to hear from you. So I'm going to shut up in a minute. We want to hear, and I can't wait to hear. Lindsay does Rizzle or whatever. She's doing stuff that 20-year-olds, I don't know if she's TikToking yet, but if she's not, she'll be TikToking tomorrow. So there's real other stuff there. But I do want to say, like on Facebook, I keep it homey, I keep it real. I'll post food and everything and the recipe, but then I'll post a funny meme, and then I'll go in for the kill and post something real. But I'm not doing it strategically or manipulatively. I'm just authentically, 1 minute my mood is here's the food, and the next minute is I'm just really bummed out. This is happening right here to the animals. If we don't look, if it's hard to look at, then can you imagine how hard it is for these animals to live this?
Let me ask you a question on that one, Dani. So you're saying that you post funny memes, but then you'll post something serious and kind of a little bit depressing,
provocative
on your same thread. So you don't separate.
No, not on the same thread. No, I might tonight post something I'm cooking.
Oh, but I'm sorry, I misspoke. On the same page?
Yeah, on my Dani Rukin Facebook page. I just, and I want to hear, and I just ask people, if you're not okay with this, then be open your heart and mind, expand your circle of justice and compassion to include animals. That's all. If you care about the environment, then look into the leading, if not one of the leading causes, if not the leading cause of environmental destruction, the rainforest, deforestation. It's all there. The science is there.
Yes.
And then I'll post something funny, because that's me. I do have a sense of humor, and I don't want anybody to feel bad about themselves, but I do. We all need to hold ourselves and each other accountable for the impact we're having and do the best we can.
Yes. And when you post, can you talk, because we do want to do the logistics a little bit more. We want to go back to Kenziah's list here too. But when you do a post, I noticed that you get very high views. So just explain, try to keep it brief, because people want to try to remember what you're saying. So step by step, kind of, what would you do if you have an important thing to get out and you want to get the most views you can? How would you post that? Just go through your steps.
Right. Oh my God. I am terrible at this.
No, you're great. How do you get so many views then?
I don't know. Well, I wouldn't necessarily get any if I posted it from my page. I mean,
tell us what you do.
Well, okay. So if I'm asked to do a lunch break live, or I have my show, The Animal Hour, on Jane Unchained, which is, I've taken a little bit of time off, but it's there and it'll be back. I honestly, that is I don't know, other than I just do my thing. And then, afterward, I'll share it to the usual places where vegans might be. But I'm not saying that that's the best thing, because maybe it is better. I'll tell you, there are some really creative ways. I know somebody, because I'm one of the fur ban organizers here in Portland, and we're working on Oregon. But we just had a big fur ban because the season is about to hit. But with COVID and everything, it's very different. And we're having some huge wins. We can talk more about that. But so we just started like an international coalition of some of us fur ban organizers. There's a guy, I think it's Adrian. There's a guy in Toronto. He's been doing vegan activism on fur activism online, where he'll post. He posted. This is good. Yeah, he posted an ad to say that he had a brand of a fur trim coat, a very popular brand of a real fur trim, coyote fur trim. And he made it really inexpensive, like for $200, and those things can cost like $1,200. And he posted saying, an ad for it. And then when everybody responds, when they message and they inquire, and he had, I think, hundreds of responses. Everybody wanted it he would then respond with, when they click on it, they get the video of the reality of what actually happens to these coyotes.
It's not funny, but it's great. I love it. See, that's the kind of thing we want to talk about. But let's go on with Kenziah's list so we can try to move through. Yeah. Okay, so focus on unity rather than division. Always check what's trending on Twitter. So I guess that's what you're saying with the memes. You're putting up stuff that's funny to engage. It could be what's trending to engage. It's just engage and then zap.
Yeah, engage and then zap with some reality. Like I just posted today, because the horse carriages are still going on in New York City. I've been there. I have filmed it. I have filmed it for Jane Unchained. Also, I filmed the horse carriages in Chicago with Jody, who led the whole ban the horse carriages in Chicago. And she single-handedly, with a lot of help from a lot of activists, but she never let up. And Jody, I can never pronounce her last name. Jody, yeah, Jody W. She single-handedly, probably within a few months after I was there in Chicago with Jane Unchained, has gotten the ban there. So now she's working on everywhere. But I just today posted the Nye class, Adita Burkhart. She had a video. They had a video that someone turned in of this horse. You know, it's horrible. You just have to show the people reality. That's what got me to go vegan and a voice for the animals, is I saw the reality. But yeah, I think when Kenziah says, unity, I would also say, unify and talk about what's really going on. Well, we have to talk about Black Lives Matter.
Yes.
And right. And when that started to finally get traction in the big, huge way that it is, because white supremacy is the elephant in the room, in the world, but in our country, let's just speak for America, right? And right away, Gwenna Hunter, who she started Vegans for Black Lives Matter.
Yes.
And right away, putting it all together, because oppression is oppression.
Yes.
Cruelty is injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. So yeah, we all need to unify.
Let's stay on that thought for a moment, because it's so funny. It's almost like you read his mind. He said, show a new side to the plight of animals, something personal. Tell an individual animal story of hardship through writing and visual media. Reassure the viewer that this affects them as well through society's desensitization to violence, physical health, pandemics, etc. Just exactly what we're saying. Just exactly what we're saying. So he is saying that just all of that, what you have, just bring that out, put that out on social media for people to see, because there are so many people that don't know about this.
It's hard to believe, but there are. And I think it's really easy to get mad at people for not just, oh, watch this video. Okay, I'm willing to watch it. And then, okay, I'm going to do the right thing and stop eating animals and stop contributing. And when they don't, it's easy to just judge, and because there's so much pain for us because we know what's happening. But we really are all on our own journey, and it really is. It doesn't mean that person isn't kind and loving and compassionate. It's just there is like Kenziah said, there's a cognitive dissonance. And it's really hard when we're so conditioned to believe that animals are here for us to use. And that, if they didn't taste good, how come they taste so good? It's like, well, I always say, well, I would taste good too if you, carved off a piece of my flesh and marinated it and roasted it to perfection. Just because it's legal doesn't make it right.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just a texture. That's the thing. It's just a texture. And
seasoned with plants.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So maybe we should move on to the next one so we can keep going.
Yeah.
Post to YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok for a greater audience. So maybe I'll take this one now.
Please.
Yeah. So
you're a master.
I unwittingly joined this app. I'll tell you how it transpired. I'll make it as quick. I started working with Jane, doing the citizen journalism as you do so well, Dani. And I was just kind of looking around for another job. And I found this app called Rumble. And they were interested in what I was doing. So long story short, I joined a year ago. I've become one of their, their top Rizzlers, which we're now Rizzlers. And I'll show you guys how I use that. So here's my profile page. And as you can see, I have 23.3 million views and 124K followers. And 99%, no, I say like, yeah, probably 97 point blah, 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 because there are a lot of people from India that are vegetarian or vegan, but they're mostly non. So it's a huge audience for us to hit. But I couldn't just go in there. That's why I was asking you about how you post, because if I just went in there, boom, and just started posting vegan messages, I don't think I would have gotten any traction. But just by getting in there, getting to know the people, it's the same thing. Social means social. You actually get, I've met so many people. Now, most of them are not meters, but they're slowly, as I keep posting and on, I'll post, let me just show you. I have two. This is one, Planet Vegan. Now, Lisa Carlin has come on and done some with me. I've also put lunch break lives from all different contributors on Jane on Chain. I put their videos up. It's super easy to post, and I'm probably going to do a show on it again, like a follow-up on how to post on a site like Rizzle. Maybe Kenziah can come back on that one. But you can see I have 2 pages, and this is my Be My Voice, which ties into my Facebook group, Be My Voice. And so that's the connection there. Now, a lot of these people are coming onto Facebook and they see my group and they join, but they know me and they're starting to listen to the message. We're going to be doing a story on this video, this documentary called Monkey with Drums. I believe that's the name of it. And I put it up, a little prelude of the movie, because we have permission to show it. And I got 2 people that say, I'll never stop eating meat to watch it. And they're starting to think.
You know, Lindsay, what you said is just really speaking to me. It's social media means social. And the bottom line is, like in life, everywhere in life, it's about connecting. It's about it's about relating and building relations. It's about getting curious. Like you said, I think, you know, the beginning, you know, when we try to put our message out, we're just putting it out to other vegans, and we're preaching to the choir, as a lot of us frustratingly thought. Now, before the pandemic, I was for about 4 years, like lots of direct action. Maybe that's where some knowing me is from, is just a lot of constant direct action out in the field. But
yes.
But social means social, and people respond when there's relationships built. I think something else that Kenziah would probably say that I do sometimes, like on Instagram. I'm not a big Instagrammer. I am the daring vegan on there, but I'll hashtag the things that, you know, but also hashtag things outside of our little vegan and plant-based world and animal rights. So I see sometimes like cute animals, hashtag quarantine life, hashtag cozy, because I like to live a cozy. The other aspects of us, hashtag those. I know a good one. Here's a good one. Hashtag dogs of Instagram, dog, adopt, don't shop, catter day, hashtag catter day, because I have rescue cat and rescue dog. So those dog people, I notice, they then see when I post something of my Chiweenie, Chiweenie's of Instagram. I notice when I post something of my Chiweenie or my catter day, that they're now seeing my vegan meals. They're seeing some vegan activism, animal rights. I think what you're saying is really important.
They're not seeing vegans as these others. They're seeing vegans as who we are, part of their community. And that's the key to it, I think. And then they start to, I know Lindsay, or I know Dani, and they're both sensible and they're both, you know, successful in what they do. So probably what they're talking about, maybe I should listen if it's affecting the environment, or maybe I should listen if it's affecting my health and the drugs I'm taking. So yeah, it's building that trust. Absolutely.
And I love this. Look at us. I mean, people our age, you know, should be looking like this and have the energy and the enthusiasm. If this doesn't speak for veganism,
that's
you know,
right.
Look at,
there's, you know, age is just a number, and there's a chronological age and there's a biological age, and they're 2 completely different things. And then there's a mental age. And that whole thing, I think, is the most important, to always be learning new things, growing, challenging yourself, getting scared, going outside your comfort zone, which you are great at, Dani. We're going to talk about some of your things. Let me just quickly finish up with Kenziah, because then we want you to talk about your activism. So relate to social justice movements with the purpose of examining singularities, discuss the concept of equality and the right to life and how this could be desirable to all sentient beings. You can do this through blogging, vlogging, blogger, submitting an op-ed to news outlets, and posting to YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. I used to do more, and I used to do more like response videos. Sometimes I would do response videos like when there's an issue out there. And then I would say, like when there was the Women's March for Feminism, but we saw very little. You know, it was like for all the different issues, but animals was missing. So I was feeling frustrated and upset, even though I understood it rationally. It was like, man, what don't you guys get? You can just cross. So I took that frustration and I just did like a response video here in my living room after I came back from Los Angeles and did that. You know, there was like 700,000 people and like, 4 vegan activists saying, feminists, if you're feminist and you're against, exploitation of females, the female reproductive system, hello, dairy, as we know, because sometimes it's frustrating because they don't want to hear it. Like, it's easy to be against oppression unless you realize, oh, how am I contributing to that? And what might I need to do to, I might be inconvenienced. I might be, there's something I love doing. Like, we have to be willing to like, okay, how am I participating in the oppression of those more vulnerable than myself? So yeah, I did a response video there. I think that one got, a lot of receptiveness.
Yeah. And I think what you just said is so important, and that we have to, as vegans, as plant-based people with plant-based philosophy, to constantly examine ourselves for being a little arrogant too and looking down on people. There was a vegan celebrity on recently, and that person is rather younger. So they were saying really that although they're vegan, they don't really push it on anyone, and that they don't care what other people do. And I understand the part of saying you don't push it, but when you say you don't care, because I understand where they were coming from. They were coming from live and let live. Everybody should have their freedom, but you're forgetting there are individuals whose freedom is being taken away by that attitude of it's okay to do that.
It's not a personal choice when there's a victim. I know I'm going like this now. Here we go. Right?
That's okay.
I'm with you. It's like what you just said. It's like I can understand that they don't want to, push it on anybody, but it isn't a live and let live. If it's a live and let live philosophy, then we need to talk about it, because we're not letting them live when we allow others. It's kind of like this, Lindsay. We stop beating the dog, right? But then when we see somebody beating a dog, we're not going to say live and let live. I'm not beating the dog anymore. If you want to beat the dog, it's not okay. We have to say something. It's just like with racism or sexism. When you see something, say something. If I see somebody getting, if somebody's messing with somebody for who they are, I am right there. Like, stay away, get away. I'm sorry this is happening to you. When you see something, say something.
Yeah, that's so important, really. I kind of have to segue a little for Kenziah's last point, but we're going to come back to that and when we talk about your activism. So this is important for people to take note of. It's copyright. Nobody likes to hear about this, but it is really important. Copyright free photos and videos. Now, there's a way you can look that up by going on Google and going under tools in the browser. You would go up to Google Tools and go in there, and you can select for it to pick copyright free. So maybe when I do that other one, I'll show that too, because people may not know that.
Show us. I would like to learn that.
Yeah, it's really important, because we don't want to get our stuff taken down. And that's the other thing you can address in a moment. Too graphic, but let's just finish his thought and then you can address that. Use photos, videos, music from free to use sites, etc. So I think that's the whole point. Pexels, PEXELs is one. I guess you can get photos. Pixabay is another free photo. Pixabay you can use. Pixabay or a Pixabay, really good one. And or do a YouTube search, free for content creators. Oh, okay, that's a line you can use. That's another good nugget. Yay, free for content creators, so they know that where we're going to be using it. I guess that's a new category, because a lot of copyrighted stuff, the owners really don't mind if you're putting a picture of their movie and promoting it up there. They're not really upset about that. So I think that there's another category that these categories are evolving, is what I want to say. So always keep an eye on the copyright law. Go to Creative Commons is a great source for that, or just Google copyright law.
Because it's changing all the time is what, yeah.
You have to keep checking. So it's a good point, though, Kenziah. Good points. So those are all of Kenziah's points. So we're free to go into your activism, and you wanted to show a couple of things about something coming up.
Before we do that, thank you. And so I always want to learn more about that. And like you said, it's changing all the time. So like I was always thinking, well, why wouldn't they want us to use it? Because then more people, like, look at that guy on TikTok that's the stuff we should be following. Literally, like that guy on TikTok he's a potato worker in Idaho. And he was just skateboarding and doing the Fleetwood Mac song.
Ocean Spray.
Yeah, now he's got Ocean Spray truck, and Fleetwood Mac song is now a huge hit. It's coming back. So I don't really understand all that stuff about social. Like, why wouldn't they want us to use it? Because if it gets traction, more people will be like, I don't know. But that's a good example. If you're just freely expressing yourself and trying things out and try new things and see what works and see what you enjoy doing and how people respond, and we can hear from more people. I'm a big I came from my first 4 years of activism was speak truth to power, direct action, nonviolent. But I just felt like this needs to be out there. You need to see what's going on. But another thing I just remembered that I did when we first got into quarantine is I was just doing different things like random. I wasn't trying to think of anything, but I was listening to a song and I thought, oh, I love this song. I haven't heard this in a long time. You know what? I think I'm going to play it on my social media. And then I just grabbed a cucumber as a mic and did this lip sync to this song, and it just sparked.
You got to come on Rizzle, Dani.
Okay, okay. So I use the cucumber, and of course I say some kind of, animal rights thing, but the song had nothing to do with animal rights, but the cucumber, and then another song I did just random, I wore vegan feminist t-shirt. So again, the song, I did a whole dance thing, and it had nothing to do with animal rights or vegan, but right there, it's getting spread around, and they're seeing that.
Perfect. See, you have lots of good advice for vegan activists that want to get out there. That's just another great thing. Go out, have fun on social media, wear your vegan shirts and your vegan mask. Well, that mask would be kind of uncomfortable, but whatever you want to show. And I just want to say, be authentic. I just want to throw in a point here before you do your rap poem, because we want you to do your poem. I'm going to give you the full screen. Yeah. But be authentic. So I have to say that when I go on my Planet Vegan channel, I don't say I love everything. I be authentic. If I'm tasting different vegan products, I'll say I like this one better than that, or this kind of tastes like that. This could be a little better. So I want people to believe me, so I'm going to tell the truth.
Yeah, don't say everything's great when it's not.
Exactly.
I love that.
Are you ready for your poem?
Sure.
Okay.
All right, so one more time.
Yeah, close up. Well, wait, let me put you on full screen. Wet markets are breeding grounds for disease. Go vegan, PETA.
Yeah, meat markets are breeding grounds.
Because did I say that? Yeah, it says meat markets.
Actually, that's a good segue into my poem, because again, so what Lindsay and I are talking about is just be yourself. Do you? And Liz Gilbert, the writer, the author, and brilliant everything, Oh yeah, we have, okay, anyways, she has hashtag constant creative response. And I don't know if any hashtag has never spoken to me more, because that's how I live my life to the best of my ability. Every day's a new day, but that's the brilliance of life, is having a constant creative response to things. Like when something upsets you, frustrates you, disappoints you, channel it, just get creative. So what happened for me with the poem that Lindsay's talking about is, I was in a creative writing class here at Powell's bookstore, which, like you can still order online. But I was in a creative writing class that had nothing to do with veganism or anything. But of course, when I would go every week to my creative writing class, everything I wrote about was about animal rights and veganism. So everybody in the class had to sit there and listen to my, whatever we were scratching out. Last day of the class, it was in mid-March, and we were quarantining, so we did it virtually, and we were writing haikus. And I'd never written haikus or poetry or anything like that. I just like to do it for fun. But I do write. But what happened was, this haiku just started to turn into a poem. Again, just let things go. Somebody might go, oh my God, my haiku is no longer a haiku. It's like, okay, it's not a haiku anymore. Go with it. So I wrote the poem, and then it got published in their little prompt, which right around Portland, which is prompt. And by the way, this is a nonprofit so those of us who paid for this is how everything works. It all evolves, and it's organically flowing and community based. Those of us who pay for this writing class, the class is also offered to people in prisons and at nursing homes and at-risk centers for free. So that's how it generates. We're all in this together is my big thing. So I wrote the poem, didn't think anything of it. I scratched it out. And one day I read it to Jane. I said, Jane, wait to hear this poem, and she finally, she's so busy. And she finally took the 2 seconds to have me read it to her. And she was like, I love it. Now, if anybody who knows Jane Velez Mitchell, she can take an idea to a massive, unbelievable, incredible thing. She'll write an opera. She'll do this. She'll make a documentary. Like, she's unbelievable with it. Most of us just have an idea. It's like, oh, that would be nice someday, maybe, sort of. But Jane really does. So she said, you should do some kind of like a poetry contest on social media. She's always like, bring your phone, do your thing, bring it everywhere. That's a big, just constantly put it out there. Don't keep you a big secret, So getting to the poem, which I'm going to read in a second, she then said, we started talking, and I said, a vegan poetry jam or something. So not a contest. So we don't want people to feel like they have to compete. You don't have to know how to write poetry. I certainly didn't. And what we did was we turned it into, April is Poetry Month, National Poetry Month, and we turned it into a vegan poetry jam where lots of people got out of their comfort zone, wrote a poem about animals and veganism and whatever was going on, and then read it recorded themselves, really got out of their comfort. It was scary for me too. And then we did a whole thing on social media. Kenziah was a part of it, and it really, really reached a lot of people. So that's the story behind it, which I think is really important.
Yes.
You want to hear the poem?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So here we go. I called it Our Corona. All right. Animals in crates, helplessly clinging to life, meet a gruesome fate. Italians singing, alone and together, balconies and windows ablaze, spirits intact. Toilet paper sales skyrocket as the market plunges. We cancel everything except for our indiscriminate and unrelenting slaughter of the most vulnerable among us and call it food. Mad cow, swine fever, bird flu, SARS, MERS, COVID-19. Zoonotic diseases of the human heart, feeding only our self-serving narrative that it's the cycle of life. Tell that to the victims straight to their face. We bury and burn them alive and call it culling. We say they're contaminated and exterminate them, exterminating only our humanity. We plunder Mother Earth and take her for all she's worth, yet she holds the key to our existence. So just express yourself.
Wow, Dani, that was just amazing. Really, really moving. Beautiful. And so, oh, look who's here?
Who's here? Who's
You
here?
brought 'em on with your poetry.
Who's here?
Minnesota.
Kenziah?
Hello.
Woo!
Hi.
Hi, Kenziah.
Hi. I thought I should jump on, seeing as how I
So
have all this
glad to
experience and
see
whatnot.
you. So glad you joined us.
Thank you. I am too. How is everybody? What are we
We're
learning?
doing good. We're doing great. What we're talking about right now is how you can express yourself in social media and tie it back to the message of veganism and compassion. And I want to just mention two more, and then you're on, Kenziah. Pass the fork. We all did that. Remember, that's a great, Kenziah, is that not a great social media activity to grab the audience?
Well, we were tagging on to a trend, and it really, I think it could have backfired, but it worked. It was cute. It was fun. It was playful. There wasn't this element of deep seriousness to it. It was kind of very millennial, if I can admit, and it worked. It was great. That was successful. We got a lot of views for that.
Yes, and the other thing I want to mention, another social media thing that just is taking off, is the new human experience, the video new human experience with Jane Elizabeth.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and all of us, a lot of us were in it, and it was just an amazing coming together, but yet it was a great example of how you can use social media. I shared it out on all the people that were involved in the video. We were little cameos, dancing around, bopping around, but it made a beautiful video and it made a beautiful thing that can go viral.
It did. That was pretty successful. And I remember pretty much everyone that follows JNN Unchained on Instagram was promoting it. I've never gotten so many messages from people we didn't know. And I guess we knew a lot of them too. So yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Well, it's a proactive approach. I think for a while when we become vegan and we see the light, we get really like in this dark place, and we start to lose track of like, hey, you're still effective. Your little piece. So sorry. So sorry.
We can hear you fine.
Everybody has value in this movement, and it's wonderful, and that's what we learned from something like that.
Speaking of which, we don't want to forget, Dani, you have the virtual action hour that you want to talk about before we go on. So let's do that. Do you want to jump in there with that?
Yeah, and first of all, I am so glad Kenziah came on. And yes, Pass the Fork was really fun, super millennial, and it was a brilliant idea. And I loved what you did with it, Kenziah. And I can't wait to watch the human experience. So what is it called?
New human, I think new human experience.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, I heard it was great.
Video that it's the most beautiful rap music. I mean, it's a combination. Two artists come together and perform, and it's just such a loving, inclusive. It touches on gender equality, racial equality, speciesism, and it does it in such a beautiful, loving way that you just can't help but share it and start singing it. And I think, like Dani, you're right on with the poetry. As artists, we're all artists, and find that part of your soul and express it, and it's just going to automatically be a vegan message, and it's going to be authentic, and people are going to resonate with it.
Absolutely. A simple thing that people can do, I just did, was the profile around the frame that for vote, make a plan, hashtag this, animal advocates for, mine says animal advocates for whatever, I don't remember, but it's about voting, get into what's happening. And, because it's all one issue. It's about humanity. It's about saving humanity. So whether it's voting or rebellions that are going on and white supremacy that is a reality, because white supremacy and human supremacy, these are issues. If we do not confront them and heal and face ourselves, and do it well, there's so many ways to do it. Have fun. The new human experience. I can't wait for this. I'm so out of it. You have no idea.
No, not at all. Not at all. So Kenziah,
Yes.
Give us some more pearls of wisdom. We read through your list already, I have to tell you.
Oh, awesome. I was trying to make that as short as possible. Even I was dozing off writing it. No, it's I think it's great. We all have to, as someone that's gone viral a couple of times, I can honestly say, we all have tremendous value, and we all have the ability to do something that's, unexpected, but catches the eye of one person. If it catches the eye of one person, it might catch on, period. So what I learned from that and working for JNN Unchained is sometimes, yes, it's kind of a little bit clickbaity when you watch a news report or read a headline, but whatever it really takes, as long as you're not distorting the truth and you're just putting the focus on one aspect of it or whatever, I don't think it's cheating. As long as you're honest and all that stuff, it helps. It helps the fight for animals, because people are so desensitized. You can honestly say that I don't know if I can say this. You can honestly say a lot of people in power are white supremacists and racist and misogynistic and homophobic and transphobic and Islamophobic and you name it. And people don't care. Why? Because as long as it doesn't personally inconvenience us and as long as we are desensitized, it's not shocking to us. Therefore, we don't think we need to make a difference. We don't need to do something about it. So I think what we do here at JNN Unchained is we show a new face of it, and it's not just JNN Unchained, but that's my background here. I think it's important to shock people and tell them, hey, you were used to it, but what about if you thought about it this way? And we use Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, even TikTok. TikTok. We started using that. We started making 15-second clips, and they're so funny. They're so wildly popular. It's not even really considered taboo to say some of the things that we're saying in those funny little videos, because they're so funny that they're going to actually consider thinking about what's in those videos.
I got to check out your TikTok videos. I haven't seen those.
Well, we're putting some of them on Instagram for JNN Unchained.
Okay. Well,
I'm watching for it.
I'm on TikTok, but I haven't really gotten into TikTok. My main platforms are Instagram, Facebook, of course, because of JNN Unchained, and then Rizzle, and a little bit.
I saw that. You're very, very popular. Millions of views, Lindsay. My goodness.
Thank you. It was it's work, but I also enjoy it. And like you say, that's just express yourself in a platform you're comfortable and get out the message. And it is working. A lot of people are taking notice. And I keep asking other vegans to please come on, please join me. There's so many people to talk to that are open to the message,
Yeah. A lot of the most successful people within the I will even say the animal rights movement, all they're doing is being themselves and recording it and saying the truth, but being themselves, being funny, being charismatic, being adorable, being intelligent, being factual, having a background in science, having a degree. All of that stuff helps, but really all it is just they're being themselves. And people will listen when they think of it as an individual, not, those crazy vegans. That's all a one race movement. Sorry to offend anyone there, but you know what I mean? And it's not. I am a proud brown man, a proud brown gay man, and other stuff. And you know what? The number one thing about me is that I love animals and I'm going to defend them and I'll do whatever it takes. And people will listen to me. I don't know why. I'm obnoxious. So.
That's why they like you. They like a little obnoxiousness once in a while.
Kenziah, I'm a proud lesbian Jew, and I'll never stop being a voice for the animals.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta say something. I'm an Italian American. Be a voice for the animals. How's that?
Hold up. See, I love that. And but I learned a lot from working with JNN Unchained and $1 Million Vegan and just those other organizations. What their approach a lot of times is shocking to people. Even PETA can be controversial and people will find them shocking, but it would be a lie to say they're not effective. So. Yeah,
the only problem is if you get banned from Facebook or Instagram, how far? I mean, you have to be so careful. What do you guys think about that? Like, that line you have to cross. And are you always struggling with that, Dani? Like,
well, that's, that whole thing about Facebook. And I mean, Facebook, when you post what's going on in slaughterhouses that's legal, and then they cover it up. I always say, how come Facebook is covering it up? Like, if you wouldn't take your kids to a slaughterhouse, then why are you not going after the issue that's happening, instead of covering it up?
Yeah.
So say something about it. I just say something about it, and then everybody sees, like, hey, yeah, why is it covered up? Also, it might take them a little while to cover it up, and then you get as many people to see it. I don't know. I think it's really sad.
Mm-hmm. I think it's good to comment on that stuff. Hopefully the Facebook police aren't watching us right now.
Yeah, no kidding. There are people that get shadow banned, and that was my biggest concern with Jane Unchained, and even my own personal page, in which I have about 17,000 followers. You guys, I used to have a lot more. Total, I used to have over 30,000 followers, and they dropped as soon as I started advocating for animals. Oh. But it cleaned out my news feed. What's up? And my biggest fear so far is being shadow banned. Because when you're shadow banned, I think there are people in power that can say, if you post anything about animal advocacy, that this is spamming, and this is illegitimate, or this has nothing to do with personality or an organization, so they'll cut you off. So they don't, fake news, so they don't address you that way. They'll just get rid of you. So
there's always a lawyer that can come up with some sort of terminology to write something to, there's very creative lawyers too. And that's why I'm saying, let's come up with what you just said about that you were soliciting, or that wasn't the word you used, but in other words, you were trying to sell, and I'll do that before you're breaking the rules.
Which is a lifestyle. It's not hurting anybody. It just so happens to be the exact opposite of that. So that's one of the more shocking things. I know that for Jane and Shane, we had gotten shadow banned before because we tried promoting something, and after
why don't you just explain, though, because we have a lot
of that? I don't even know what shadow ban means. What is
it? Please.
Okay. So for instance, one type of post or person that will become shadow banned, this may surprise you, is a type of person that posts bikini shots. That to me was one of the more shocking things I learned, because that is legit information. You can look it up in some of the older Instagram, what we promote lists. It says that they decrease promotion or remove from the explore page anyone that is posting shots that could be seen as offensive by certain groups in the world. So, that means more than the United States of America. So that includes a lot of half-naked women who are just living their life and being beautiful and sharing it, which you should have a right to do, because freedom of speech. Anyone? Y'all heard of it?
And yet a trophy hunter, could stand there with all their stuff and that dead, beautiful beast.
Yes. Promoting violence. And they'll get more likes than anybody. They are considerably less likely to get
or with an AK-47 or whatever, AK, whatever, they can just post themselves, right? What is shadow banning? Could you tell us, Kenziah?
So what happens is you're basically taken off the map unless somebody specifically looks for you.
Wow.
You will be familiar with it. I have a few famous friends, I'm sure we all do, and a lot of times they remove all of their information from Facebook, and the only way that you can find them is if you have their direct email. And that's a way of choosing to put yourself into the shadows. On Instagram, being shadow banned means you could seriously, I know this personally, 30,000 followers, and you could have 11,000 likes on one photo one day, but as soon as you start posting anything about veganism, someone reports you, they'll say that it's offensive, and then they'll shadow ban you, and that means that you will no longer pop up on their feeds. Despite the fact that they follow you, they'll give you a smaller percentage of people that can see your post first, which in turn promotes it if it gets a lot of likes within the next 10 to 20 minutes. And it also means that you're removed permanently, from what I've heard, off the explore page, which is where a lot of people get started, including us. including myself. My own posts have gotten discovered on an Explore page, and I mean, I've had some serious great business opportunities come from the fact that I ended up on the Explore page for having good content before posting all the vegan stuff. So I hate to say it, but a lot of us already have been shadow banned.
I think I have. I think I have, because when I post the same thing on Instagram, I get lots more views because I have not posted. I haven't previously posted
Right.
a lot of graphic stuff. In fact, on Instagram, I have not posted any graphic stuff.
Right.
Whereas on Facebook, when I first started, I was posting a lot of graphic stuff. Then I finally moved over to a page that I have a group called Be My Voice, so that if people want to see that, they opt in. So that's my activism. But I think because my Facebook went way down in views, and I think that's what happened. And I have 5,000. I thought we could only have 5,000 followers on Facebook.
Unless it's a public profile. You know what I want to say? What's really sad, which I know we all get, is that while trying to stop fake news, we're actually getting impacted with posting our factual news that nobody wants to, see or hear about. That's really scary.
That's actually
and
the main
sad.
reason for such a large exodus. Tumblr, for example, started imposing a lot more rules and regulations. Really, the word would be restrictions on people and what they could post. That's why there was a huge exodus from Tumblr. Now Instagram is evidently going through the same thing. Facebook has lasting power. I truly believe more in Facebook than I do on Instagram, because all the same people that are on Instagram are now on TikTok. At the end of the day, if you don't give us the freedom of speech, we're not going to give you the dollar bill. And
we'll go somewhere else.
We'll go somewhere else. We'll take our business elsewhere.
Yeah, it's true. And you know what, guys? We are actually out of time, and there's a show starting at 6, so we can't stay on. But we should do another section of this, because I think just discussing this, and we could invite a couple more people on, get a panel going, and try to empower activists and share our knowledge, because we want to get that message out. We have to compete with mainstream media. We need the tools, and we can build the community and the tools right here on JNN.
Well, thank you for all that you're doing, Lindsay. Your shows are incredible, and the work you're doing with Gentle Giants and creating for the elephants and everything. Lindsay is 24/7 on social media and really killing it. And thank you for all that you do.
Thank you,
Lindsay. Highly appreciate
it. You are killing
me and inviting me at all. I'm sorry I couldn't be here from the start, but I got the job, if it makes anybody feel better.
Yes, good job. Woo!
Me. Wait,
that's fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you
so much.
Great
to see you,
Dani,
Kenziah.
as well. Great to see you.